Could you tell us a little brief overview of what your organization actually do?
Yes, I am the project director of Creative Youth Community Development Initiative. That organization wants to see new Nigeria in summary. A new Nigeria that you can have leaders who are ready to serve. A new Nigeria where you will see young leaders with integrity. A new Nigeria where our country will be seen in Committee of Nations leading change. A new Nigeria where poverty will be a thing of the past. So that is the future of Nigeria we want to see going backward. Going backward to define projects. This project, the organization is running on 4 projects. One is the vision of the child, and that project was born because Professor Wale Soyinka is actually the hero behind this dream. Okay? And then we have Creative Youth Initiative Against Corruption. We also have Creative Youth Forum. And each of those projects, they are driving a particular group of Nigeria. The vision of Israel is driving the children and the twin. The Creative Youth Initiative Against Corruption is between the teenager and the youth. The Creative Youth Forum is driving the tertiary institutions and NYSC. While the CDMA social enterprise is driving zero hunger and low poverty. That is all about agriculture, making agric our business.
All right. So you seem to be working more with young people.
Yes.
And how much of these inroads have you been able to make? Could you tell us about some of your landmark achievements?
Let me start from making stars out of children.
Good.
We have young leaders now. They're just between ages 13 and 16, whose dream is to make change happen in Nigeria. Why? Because the kind of upbringing that we've given to them, making them see themselves as solution provider, even as a child. Making little boy who will, the parents will see as someone that has no contribution to society. And we're seeing such a child as a leader of Nigeria in the future. So we have young leaders that already they found their vision and purpose for life, and they're not in the university yet. So the university is like, oh, can we make the university in about 2 years so we don't waste our time? We have young teenagers like that who feels going to university or tertiary institutions in Nigeria is a waste of time. We need an institution that will let us have just 2 years. We are in a hurry to explode, to bring ideas and start trading with it. So we have singers, we have communicators, we have inventors, we have innovators, and they are all Nigerian, taught by Nigeria, in the soil of Nigeria. You can imagine that we've only affected about 4,000 children and youth. Multiply that in Nigeria, millions of those children and youth are in Nigeria already, but they haven't found their purpose. So our organization is a bridge to allow these children and youth to find their purpose in life. We don't have any other home. If we go to anywhere in the world, we're in a hurry to come back home. We go there sometimes to shut down and rest. Why? Because we don't have a enabling environment. Yeah. But are we going to look at our children? Are they going to live like this? Are we not going to make these cities, villages, and towns sustainable? Are we going to continue to blame the leaders? Our organization is the activism part of youth innovators who are saying no to all of this abnormality and yes to the future that is sustainable. And we're doing this on the platform of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Now, SDG, some group of member states, over 160 nations came together. And they brought these goals together in 2015, September 25, 2015. Yeah. And they said, look, in the next 15 years, which is 2030, each country should take this and achieve that. And we can have sustainable world. They are thinking for every country in the world, isn't it? Now, as a nation, I'm a Nigerian. As a Nigerian government, what are they supposed to do? They're not supposed to reinvent the wheel because each goal has targets to achieve. And each target, believe me, their project. So let's turn each goal to program. For instance, quality education is a program. Under quality education, you have different targets that need to be made and all of that needs to be met and all of that. All we need to do is not to reinvent any wheel.
Yeah.
Take those targets. It's been simplified. Some people must have been paid to do the research. So let's start from there as a nation and start redefining and implementing all of these targets. We'll be out of where we are right now. So we are implementer to ensure that these sustainable development goals work without the input of government. Because look, if we wait for Nigerian government to do something about this nation, I'll be 100 years old, and my children will be probably 50, 60, 70, and Nigeria will still remain the same. The change makers, they are children, they are youth right now. Are we not supposed to go back to the classroom and teach them how to lead change? We must not wait. This is the time for us to walk the talk. So our organization is walking the talk. We might not be making noise because we don't have such to do that, but we want to make change happen. So my celebration, our celebration as an organization in the near future is to see that some of our mentees, they are now leading change with integrity. Look, you could go to the end of the world and throw a party, but the truth is that Nigeria is going to change. It's our country. So we need to rise up to the challenge and make it good. And we don't have to go too far. UN is just there, SDGs are there, and we are passionate youth. Most of our workers, people that work with us are volunteers, to tell you the truth. Because, I mean, how do we make all of this happen without funding from any organization? So they are passionate about Nigeria. So basically, that has given us a whole lot of landmark. And recently, we invented, an idea came because we thought that if our children is doing amazing thing, unlike in America, it was last year that the Bill Gates set up goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And goalkeeper event was like to celebrate, oh my God, some young people that are doing amazing things. I looked at that program and I said, we have millions of these young people in Nigeria.
Yeah.
They're not celebrated. We don't have philanthropists that come together and say, look, but if we go to Big Brothers and we go round, we have 45 million. And children are now beginning to tell you that, why should I go to school? If I come out and become a graduate, I might not even get a job for the next 1 year. Why not do some illicit stuff and just have money? We need change, the orientation of our value system. The value system of Nigeria we need re-engineering so that we change our mindset. Education is very important. And so if we wait for them, we'll never get it done. So we are doing it.
Now, let me now take you this so that we get a focus on this. I'm going to take you on one of the tweets you tweeted some times ago, that the resources in Nigeria alone is enough to sustain Nigeria and Africa at large. Corruption is the biggest barrier for SDGs. Your organization, CYIAC, is ready to curb the menace through creative development. So what are you doing? What's your organization doing specifically to curb the menace called corruption?
Let me start from the quotes.
Okay.
This quote, I think I released this quote sometimes in Germany. Thus, Nigeria is a giant of Africa.
Yeah.
If we fall as a nation, you need to, don't try to imagine how many nations we go down. Because how many nations can take us? Now, let us be realistic. Take us as refugees.
Overrun a lot of countries.
So that is where you start from. An SDG is being noise everywhere in the world that has to be met. And if they have to be met in less than 12 years, my country cannot achieve it. Why? Corruption is the biggest impediment to achieving SDGs in Nigeria. So if Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari released the sum of 100 billion today on SDG, it's still going to go through the cycle of corruption because it's not going to happen. So our organization is saying that if we want SDG to work, SDG is just a pilot for us to get to our destination. Yeah. So it's easier for us because their target has been defined and all of that. If we must achieve SDG, then we need to deal with corruption. And corruption story in Nigeria, you all know, corruption is I'll quote from one of our diplomatic friends, that if you don't, in Nigeria, in one of the embassies, he said to us that corruption in Nigeria is like when you're not corrupt, you're not in line with the tune of Nigeria. Corruption is the order of the day. Impunity is, you just have to be there. He said that he spent a few months in Nigeria and he saw that corruption is the order of the day. It's celebrated. And he was had to think back. That's exactly what's happening in Nigeria. So we looked at it. If we allow these same children to watch the TV, they see what happened every day, they aspire to get there, they're going to be corrupt. So don't say that children and youth can't be corrupt. They will eventually be corrupt because it's the system, it's the culture. Culture of integrity is culture that has to be imbibed in the same. We can't import diplomats from America and everywhere to come and teach us the culture of integrity. Culture of integrity is what you need to live with. You have to be conscious of it. You have to be conscious of the fact that you don't have to give bribe. Do you understand what I mean? So the creativity. How do we get out of all of this as a nation? Our nation is fantastically corrupt. So how do we escape it? We went back. Like I told you, we have a desired goal and we have a destination and there's a future. It's seen. Like as I see it right now, I can see the future of Nigeria. Because if you don't see the bright future, if you don't walk above what's going on in Nigeria, you can never get any result. So there's a result that we're walking into, and we walk backward by training the children. Now, the concept actually started from Professor Wale Soyinka in 2013, when he gave us the topic under the vision of the Child Project, 1001 Faces of Corruption. It was mind-blowing because, look, how could age 8 to 12 tell the story of corruption? And Prof told me, don't worry. They will tell the story. Look, I went with him on that project, not with my heart, because I'm like, would they be able to do this? But you know, his word will I follow. Do your project processes. They will do it. I believe him. At a point, I had to now, we had to go the path of Prof, and it's by force. And when Prof wants something happen, or something, if you wanted to do something, you know, like as a mentor, I'm like, okay, sir, I'm going to get it done. Even when it's not possible, but because Prof said it's possible. So we went on that journey for about 4 months. 4 months of registration screening and all of that. We went into the day when they have to interpret the faces of corruption in our country. We got 30 paintings that depicted the story of Nigeria from children. They were not helped. It was before live audience. We have them in video, in pictures, live audience. Parents and guardians were not allowed to come close to them. So it was the painter, the brain, the thinking faculty, the tools on watercolor paper, and the story. And we left them for 5, 6, 7 hours to be telling the story of corruption. At the end of that particular day, what we saw got me thinking that if we don't start to rebuild Nigeria now from age 8, Nigeria will never be a nation. So their creativity is coming into play because we want to see the problem, the effect, and what is going on in their mind as solution to the problem. Then SDG was not born. You can imagine that SDG was already in our mind at that year, 2013. SDG was born in 2015. So the following year, with the rule of law and law of impunity, and we also saw 30 paintings of how the legal system, how the parastatals, and even their parents. I saw a particular painting when a child was describing the fact that the father goes to sleep in one of the best hotels in Dubai. They define what happened in their own home. So corruption is not just about government. Who is government? Please let's define. People whose value is on the ground or has been on the ground, whose value was never re-engineered, who was probably in a bank or different places before, appointed to be in government system. So is government a government? Government are people and they're citizens of this nation. Yeah. That's it. That's how I see government. Government is us. We're all coming. If anybody is elected, you get there, you get corrupted because you don't have value system. So we are rebuilding the value in children. We want them to see that without being corrupt, they can actually do amazing things. So creativity aspect of them is what they are born to do. Get to train their talent. Make them stars. Let them contribute to economic growth. Let them develop business. let them be sustainable entrepreneurs. Then by the time we're piloting them into leading change in Nigeria, it's going to be sacrifice. They're just going to rescue their nation. Remember, such an entrepreneur has a business behind somewhere in the world, but he had to take that sacrifice for 4 years and serve the nation. So the creativity, the innovation, the invention, and all of that is to develop them to be economically sustainable, develop a livelihood, contribute to rebuilding of the nation, to create the future they desire. So the corruption aspect of it is, why they are doing that? They are conscious of the fact that these are don'ts. As a result of don'ts, they've seen it in their various creativity, in their various creations, that if this happen, you never have road and lights and all of these basic amenities. Why don't we have them in Nigeria? It doesn't mean that Americans are born or thrown from heaven to the world or wherever. Even one of the you know, sometimes when they say that some nation are crumbling and they have an economic downtown, and I look at Greece. Look, the Greece, I've lived in Greece before. I've gone to Romania, and you know, those, they feel that they are down. I wish we had such downtown. This, I mean, our own level is to be on the ground like Greece. That would have been celebrated. They have water, they have electricity, and you know, they have all sort of, I mean, natural.
Even despite the economic downtown.
Imagine. And they are eating. Food is not a problem. They've conquered all of that. And agriculture, look at farms everywhere. Let us have such economic downtown. It's beautiful.
Part of the world.
Don't even let us be America. It is some people right. I mean, why do you have a road that is there for 20 years? It is because the road has been designed with some precision that at the end of year 3, such layers has to be removed and top up. And at the end of year 5, and all of this is a program. So some people are liable, their responsibility is to deliver and implement such projects as at the time when they're due. So a week before that, in fact, a year before, the entire team already know what to do. So while they're doing that, they've planned the road that for us, in the next 2 years in London, we're going to have this road repaired. They already have an alternative plan where they divert people to, and this is being, that is why they have what they have. And here we give contracts, please, for every project that is defined, approved to be done, there must be like an implementation cycle. You must have them in phases. And in engineering, you must have certificate of completion at each stage. And at each stage, you should bring people to look at it and certify, okay, before you go to the next one. But the people to actually bring also to check that has gotten like some kickback, and all they need to do is to approve and go to the next stage. That is why we have this Nigeria. Why don't we have water? Look at water everywhere. I mean, we are as good as any nation that is surrounded by water as well. We should have water everywhere. What do we need to do as a government? It's so simple. And they are bringing in this same Nigeria who could make things happen, but they are not linked to this father or this father and this father. So the brain is, so the greatest potential that you can see in Nigeria, they lie in the grave. They go to the grave unsung, unfulfilled. Why? Because the environment is not giving them. How long are we going to celebrate that? We need to push the potentials. We don't want them to die. The key to die empty is to die without going to the grave with your potential. Leave them right here so that generation unborn would celebrate. So the corruption system of this country is, I mean, you can't tell me that corruption is gone or is reduced, because with little research we've done, it's not a story you can say that, oh, corruption is gone. No, corruption can't go. There's some system that needs to be fixed. The Nigerian system needs to be on computer. How do you define somebody that's still stealing $40, $60 billion and all of that? Are we not supposed to have budgets that cover those things? Are they not supposed to be used for implementation of some projects? So when those projects are not there, who is checking them? They don't want the system to work. If we have system, there will be corruption. It means that in the next 1 year, if this government wants corruption gone, they need to a complete, you know, when I say complete, they need to start putting the entire system of Nigeria back into the world, 21st century, and let us have a system that works.
Great. Your organization looks more to be like a vehicle for children and youth sensitization on the ills of corruption through creative development based on your assessment and self-awareness, as well as reorientation. Now, when you ask this, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers are like, how can young people at this point in time lead their accountability framework for sustainable development goals in Nigeria at this point in time? How?
Right. Like, I'm an SDG implementer myself. Okay. So I'm aware of the SDG 1 to 17. That is what we're doing right now.
Right.
We have rechanneled our entire project into sustainable development goals.
Okay.
So we are teaching SDGs whilst we're implementing projects.
Good.
So what are they doing now? They know for corruption is SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institution. And to arrive at that SDG 16, we need SDG 4, quality education. And if we need to be sincere with each other, you know that the word quality education is not even up to 5% in the entire country.
Wow.
Okay, because I went through the system, so I can tell you.
That's true.
I know my own. I know that I had to see the meaning of civil engineering, building up to minus 2, minus 3 when I got abroad some years after graduation, and I was wondering why the building kept going down and they said gradient level. So I stopped by. It was in Belgium actually, and I wanted to know. I didn't know that. I actually did that in a course. But I crammed them because when you are trying to balance your engineering design and all of that, you have this minus 2, minus 3. Oh, they were actually building down below ground level. So the book, I'm sure the book I read is still being read right now when the world has gone like 20 years above where we are. So SDG, we're teaching SDG right now, and we are using quality education and weaving that into Sustainable Development Goal 16, where we have peace, justice, and strong institution. And you already know the targets on that peace, justice, and strong institution, which is Goal 16. And that is what we are achieving under that. And you know, young children, they don't need money to make them work up, you know. They don't need 1 million, 2 million in their accounts. They just need to be celebrated. That we knew so quickly. A child who is a hero under our SDG 16 with handshake, that got handshake from Professor Wole Soyinka and the governor of Lagos. Such a child is a celebrity already. That's all they need. And then you have 1,000 followers in their school. That is what we have done. We're making hero out of all of this, our SDG heroes, and there are many students. So we go to school now, they're like, look, can you come and do a program in our school, not the entire school, so that all our students will be aware. We don't want you to pick 1 or 2. So the appetite of getting to know what happened and how to develop nation is already here in Nigeria, and we're weaving that on SDG. So the award we won in Germany was on corruption actually.
Exactly.
Okay, so we realized, when we were trying to move from vision of the child to creative youth initiative against corruption, our mindset was to test what creativity will do in corruption. So we gave them topic, my new Nigeria free from corruption. Not more than that they should go explore and research. Remember, we've taken them through the world of project management and project development. So they might be children, but they are very wise. We're taking them through, in fact, last year, the course we took them through, their master's course in the university. Wow. Because I was one of their lecturers. We took them through the world of creativity, the world of innovation and project development, so they understand what project's all about. So we gave them a topic. Our project's all about a topic that you need to explore. So we left them to go to the school. And when we're working, we don't work with parents. We work with school. Why? Because we want the teacher to also teach other students what they're doing. We want them to impact other schools. You know, they are change makers. Yeah. And when you have 1 or 2 change makers in school, you're sure to have hundreds of other change makers following such students. They want to be like the student. So they went and did your research. We took them through training. We got 200 schools involved in that project, 200 participants. And we finally chose 20. Of course, we would have chosen 50 if we had resources, but first was 20, and we got German embassy to host us. They were just there all the time to run to. Can you imagine our press conference was actually hosted by the German embassy in that embassy? Our exhibition, how do we get funding? We need friends and to come to our aid and ensure that the project was implemented. At the end of the entire program in December 1, 2016, a set of 20 paintings were delivered. And we looked at them, the entire system of Nigeria, by just 20 children who went through the medium of information technology, poetry, and painting to put down their thoughts and the solution. By 2017, it came to our mind that, do we want to bring the President of America or President of Germany or all of them to come and say this? No, it's not going to happen. They won't come to our gallery. So the innovation was, we sat with them and said, we need to take this around the world without carrying the paintings. And everybody looked at each other. I told them it was doable if we put our mind in. So I charged all my team, start thinking.
Wow.
But we would take this painting to the world. And the idea came. Then, each painting, we turned them to storytelling, which is a project on its own. And we realized that this storytelling actually communicating SDGs as well. Different SDGs, but in a corruption project, anti-corruption project. And then we put them into animation. And a painting speaking to the society. And we had about 5 we brought together and became a corruption song. Because you can't take away the fact that everyday people of Nigeria need to be changed. Governmental.
That's true.
So our corruption song was focused on what we do that we don't even know we're corrupt on everyday life. And they were all from the paintings. And well, United Nations called for all of this submission and were nominated among the 740 organizations in the world that is working to change the world. So by January, when we got into like February 2018 to find as finalists, the first 38 that made the list, we celebrated because look, this is in the world, not in Nigeria, and we're invited over to Germany as finalists for that particular project. United Nations SDG Award is an organization created by the Secretary General as an action partner to see how SDG will be implemented all over the world. And we're calling as the winner,
Wow.
Innovator category, United Nations SDG Award. That was a boost. I mean, we're coming from an angle of no fun, no help, no, we struggle. Even animators, I had to open my door for people to be sleeping because we had to work all night to make deadlines and all of that. And the project, we ended up shaking the world with our innovation. It means that there are many innovations sitting right here in Nigeria that will fulfill SDG through, and we can't control adults, and that's why we have to choose children. For instance, a 30-something-year-old and say, oh, this is not right, and feels that this is right because their mind is already made up. We want people that can flow with what's happening in the world, hence the children and the young adults.
That's really amazing.
Yeah.
Finally, what's the way forward? What's the future for Nigeria?
For Nigeria, I am going to celebrate any government that look up and fix education. You know why we're not growing?
Why?
We don't have teachable people in the government anymore. Yeah. If we have leadership academy, let's call it academy, where all the leaders that are contesting would have to go and get a form and sit in a class and pass. And then the lecturers, they're all over the world, and virtual lecturers, who they can't bribe, who you don't even know, Professor X, Y, and Z, that is sitting in Australia, another professor, and they have to go through that class to get to the leadership position. I'm sure we won't have a whole sort of bunch of, I don't want to call them this name, coming in to contest to lead us. People that can even lead their family and organization, leading a country that's as complicated as Nigeria. The way forward for us is to divert our attention to the young generation. Because you say youth can do it. It's not just being a youth. It's youth with information. That we want to replace Mr. Buhari with Mr. Femi or Mr. Permit me, Mr. Assis, Who is Mr. Assis? Is Mr. Assis the right youth to make that happen? Just being a youth is not the ingredient for you to lead change in Nigeria. So, whilst we are transitioning into that, we still have from a couple of years, 12 more years to achieving SDGs. Between now and 12 years, we're training the young leaders, sustainable young leaders, young entrepreneurs, creative individuals who are going through school, or let's call it movements that is changing their orientation. By next year, we're going to be putting them into innovation lab, where we would put them non-formal learning system, which we are not embracing in Nigeria. You know, education, when you talk about quality education, you talk about the one within the classroom, and the other one, non-formal learning system, where we're going to put these young children and young adults to get in their thinking faculty, to think solution, think change, think creativity, think inventions, create things that have not been done. Do you know things are in the mind of many people that have not been done before? It is because we're not thinking it's possible. For everyone in the world, including me and you, you're born to do something. You're not born as liability. There is a solution lie in you. And all of those children around the world, they are coming to put something on destiny table. And if you live without doing that, your excuse is that government hasn't given you light. They did not give my father light. So that's what we're doing. We're making leaders out of them. Even whilst they're still going through education, they're still going through creative enterprise program, they're still going through all of this. We're bringing back the refined youth who will also have followers, because you know we are celebrating them, and that's why we have this platform. This platform is to give them such leverage that they can be seen everywhere in the world, including United Nations General Assembly has been doing something, and then they come on Instagram. You're no longer looking at people with things that should not be seen. Immoral life being celebrated. You now see young inventors who goes on Instagram and has 5 million followers. Why? Because 5 million people want to look like him. So we now have network marketing of leaders. I want to be like him, so that they can have morale booster. Professor Soyinka is a living legend. And people look at him, this is my hero, I want to be like him when I grow up. Please ask me who is my hero in Nigeria. They don't have anymore. So that they can have young hero, that, oh, I want to be like Fortune, I want to be like Princess, I want to be like Angela. So we are marketing. So they go back to their different community and lead change. In the next 5 years, it's not going to be Foluke and team talking. Okay. Angela and Princess, we are going to put them into constituencies. Oh, Foluke, we want you to come and talk in Calabar. No, we already have someone that's going to do that in Calabar. We are building youth all over the nation. And by the time, sir, that we're ready to install the right leader, we have right youth who you don't need to bribe. They're not bribable. No, they will not be bribable. Because why? They already know that that's not the culture. They have different culture. So they go out en masse through the democratization process. We aren't going to jump that and vote the right leaders. That is the way forward for our country, Nigeria.
Thank you very much for your insightful analysis and perspective. We appreciate you, and thank you for coming.
Thank you so very much. Thank you for